Hello, football fans, and welcome back to another James Talks About NFL Football. And today I have no current NFL news to share and that I want to share. I would talk about Des Bryant quoting that Josh Norman's finally getting the respect he deserves, but he wasn't even covering Antonio Brown on Monday night, which I would talk about it if Josh Norman shut down Antonio Brown. But yeah, so today I'm going to talk about the legacy of what I think is the greatest running back and who is arguably the best running back in the NFL, or not in the NFL, but in NFL history, Barry Sanders. Now, for so many years in the 70s and 80s, and I think mid to late 60s, if not all the 60s, after Bobby Lane left the Lions, they were not very good. And I don't mean to say that to be hurtful. True Lions fans will know the struggle of those 3 decades and absolutely know what I'm talking about. So, in the 1989 draft, and I would say that this is the best draft class ever. But yeah, he was drafted in the top 5. I hate to do this. But he was drafted in the top 5 in the 1989 draft. He was a kick and punt return wizard that starred as a running back at Oklahoma State with current Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy as his quarterback. I bet some of you didn't know that. But yes, so he was he he held the record for all-purpose yards in a single season with like 2,600 in 1988 in terms of kick, punt, and rushing yards. And that record was finally broken last year in 2015 when Stanford's Christian McCaffrey broke that. Yes, he was drafted 3rd by the Lions in the following spring of 1989 in what I think is, in terms of the top 5, the most talent-rich draft in NFL history. Jokingly enough, that draft was like a multiple choice question. You only had one wrong answer, and that was Tony Mandarich, and the Packers selected him. But then they got Brett Favre a couple of years later, and they were never the same for the next 15 years and onward, even after he retired after those 15 years. But I'm not talking about the Packers. I'm not talking about Brett Favre. I'm talking about the Detroit Lions and the legacy of Barry Sanders. Now, Barry Sanders was supposed to be that guy. You know, the guy that was supposed to finally break the 50-year-old curse that was set on the Lions in 1958. And I know a few people will contribute the curse to the Lions not winning in the playoffs with Sanders too much. But I just think it's a matter of the Lions running into a buzzsaw in terms of defenses that Barry Sanders could not run against, like the Packers in '94 whenever he had like -5 rushing yards, I believe. Which I will say that it sucks that he never ever got to play in a Super Bowl. That is something that I just hate because then all of America and maybe some other countries would have been like, "Whoa, who is this guy with all the jukes? He will break your ankles." I mean, I rarely see runs with positive yards where Barry Sanders was actually tackled instead of running out of bounds. And I'm not going to list the reasons why I think that he is the greatest, well, at least in my opinion, the greatest running back of all time. But he racked up 10 straight Pro Bowls from 1989 all the way through 1998 up until he retired. And he was all pro from 1990 to 1997, I do believe. Might not be 100% correct on that all pro fact, but I know he made all 10 years of the Pro Bowl that he played. Now, the Lions were something special whenever he played. He was like a once in a generation running back that was just absolutely fantastic, and he got you to the edge of your seat. And, every time I watch highlight films of him run, I get goosebumps. Despite the fact that I know that he might score a touchdown and just make someone look silly out there, I still get goosebumps because it's so amazing. I mean, I am in awe every time I watch him run the ball. And it is absolutely fantastic. Oh, I miss him. I do miss him. I had some dust in my eye. I'm not crying. But I just miss him. And I bet that the sport of football misses him. But just as I said, he never went to the Super Bowl. The Lions' closest chance of getting to a Super Bowl during Barry Sanders' time, and their closest time during the Super Bowl era, I do believe, was in 1991 when they lost the NFC Championship to the future Super Bowl champion Washington Redskins. And Sanders did not get very many yards. Sanders in the playoffs would not get very many yards. As I told you in 1994, he got like -5 against the Packers in Lambeau. And then I think in Washington in 1991, 1992, January 1992, January 95 for the Green Bay game. I think against the Redskins in January of 92, the 1991 season, I think he had something like 16 rushing yards for the game, maybe 25 or so. Which, if you watched him run during the regular season, and the thing is that you could say that he's just bad whenever I say the statistic, is that he holds the record for the most yards lost. Now, let me make it a little bit better for Barry, okay? Barry Sanders had no quarterback. His quarterbacks were Rodney Peete, Scott Mitchell, and a couple of other quarterbacks that you see in the league that change teams every year, every other year or so. And then he didn't have the best of offensive lines, which really hindered him. And then he didn't really have a defense, so he had to run for his life, and to think that he ran for 2,000 yards in 1997, which he ran for like 2,064, I want to say. So with him only getting 53 yards combined in the first two games, not just each game, he rushed for 2,000 yards in 14 games. And that 1997 season was very, very impressive from a running back's perspective. I mean, he came really, really close in 1994 to getting 2,000. I think he was like the 100 off, which getting 1,900 yards in a season is really, really good. So Barry Sanders almost rushed for 2,000 yards multiple times. Very much could have ran for 2,000 yards multiple times, but that just didn't happen. But, yeah, I just wish that, sometimes I wish that another Barry Sanders will come along, and you might be like, hey, his son is playing in college currently at Oklahoma State. His father's alma mater, Barry Sanders Jr., which I would say that I think Jr. has the same talent that his father has in terms of some of the juke moves and the speed and stuff like that. But it is a huge matter of just, I would say, putting forth the dedication and the commitment, but I do think that Junior does that. But just as I mentioned earlier, Barry Sanders Sr., Barry Sanders that played for the Lions, the Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, NFL MVP, 1997. Is a once-in-a-generation type player. And before you think that I am super happy whilst filming this, yes I am. And that is because I'm a huge Barry Sanders fan. I'm not particularly a Lions fan, but I am a huge fan of Barry Sanders. And I know that I've worn my Barry Sanders shirt in a video or two on my gaming channel, in vlogs and stuff. Just videos where it's not gaming and I just do something special. I know it was in my 500 video special over there that I did last July, in July 2015. So, yes, I am very happy to do this. And I am a huge Barry Sanders fan. I'm not particularly a Lions fan, but yeah. So, that is a little bit on the legacy of what I think, in my opinion, is the greatest running back of all time. Now, you may disagree with me, but you can agree that he is arguably the best running back to ever play the game. So yes, guys, I guess that will do it for this video, for this James Talks About NFL Football. And yeah, I will see you all so yes, football fans, I will see you all on Saturday. And until then, I will see you all later. Goodbye, guys. Go Panthers, and see you all later.